little over a year ago, God of War Ragnarok came out and was a stunning experience with dozens of beautiful locations, memorable characters, exciting boss fights, an amazing story, and an addictive combat system. It quickly stood out as an early highlight of the new generation of consoles. I reviewed that game and very enthusiastically gave it a 5 out of 5, and my love for it, as well as its predecessor from 2018, eventually led to me playing and reviewing all of the older God of War games this summer. After all that, I was content with the series and didn't feel a hunger for any new content, but lo and behold, on the 8th of December during the Game Awards, they made a crazy announcement. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, a free DLC releasing just 4 days after its announcement? One of the craziest surprise drops I've ever seen, to be honest. And though I previously felt burnt out on God of War, seeing that trailer immediately had me hyped again. Since it's been out for a little bit now and is relatively short, I thought I'd just give you all my thoughts on this brand new experience. First off, the length of the DLC is pretty hefty considering it's completely free. I managed to get multiple hours just out of the story missions, and there's plenty more to do outside of that due to the roguelite style. I'm a bit mixed on this genre in general, as I think it's often really frustrating and leads to repetition, for example in otherwise impressive and good games like Returnal. It's typically a huge turnoff for me, but here it's implemented pretty damn well. The structure of each run in Valhalla ends up being really similar, but mixing up enemy groupings and the rewards you gain for doing combat keeps things fresh enough for it to be fun. And concerning difficulty, there were some moments where I found myself frustrated, but they were minimal. Getting to the very last step of a run just to die can be really annoying, but if you just hunker down and spend a few runs practicing and upgrading your weapons, you'll find a very satisfying sense of progression that connects to Kratos' own journey in the story as well. Speaking of which, the story comprises of a few introductory missions that set up the whole situation. Kratos has traveled to Valhalla after receiving a mysterious invitation and is using it as a method to reach into his inner psyche and discover the truth of who he is and what he's done, mainly because he faces the difficult dilemma of whether or not to become the new Norse god of war. After this, we meet the person who gave him the invitation and go through 3 rounds of the same mission structure with a few variations, each one exploring a different piece of Kratos' past and connecting it brilliantly to his present and future, which all culminates in a beautiful ending where this conundrum is poignantly resolved. And now, I don't want to get into specifics in order to avoid spoilers, but just know that it's a wonderful closing chapter to this story. But because his past is such a major part of this, we end up encountering various places, objects, characters, and especially enemies from the older games, which was especially cool for me after having played all of them. Seeing iconic enemies like the Cyclops, Siren, or Wraith reimagined is so unbelievably cool, not to mention classic armor sets and the new Legacy ability, which allows you to summon the Blade of Olympus from God of War 2 and fight enemies with it. Kick ass! Helios appearing was also a great surprise, and though I was kinda hoping for more references, they did not have to include nearly as much as they did, and I'm already more than overjoyed with what we have here. Plus, it's great that this stuff isn't just pointless fan service, as every reference and callback they include truly works toward a profound narrative purpose. The arenas in classic areas such as the Forum or Aegean Sea especially make the gameplay loop even more addictive here, and I can see myself playing this DLC for quite a while longer, which is insane considering how small I expected it to be. And by the way, seeing all these reimagined old enemies and places, honestly, and this might be unpopular, kinda makes me want to see them remake the original God of War trilogy in the new style. People would probably not like that and probably get angry about it, and I do want more new games than remakes, but that's one case where I'd really be interested to see it, because I think it could be really cool if they do it right. I got more out of this DLC than I do out of some full-price retail games, and that really shows the incredible talent and generosity of Santa Monica Studios. To pump out a free little bonus that manages to shift things around in the combat more than most games' sequels do, manages to tell a gripping and captivating story, and that houses various memorable boss fights, that's unbelievable. If every studio were like them, the gaming industry would never see another The Day Before situation ever again. 4.5 out of 5. It just barely manages to beat out the Lord of the Rings Gollum for Game of the Year. I hope you guys realize that was a joke. Please do not take that seriously, for the love of God.